This is the documented tale of the Hyperblue, potentially the most powerful computer in the universe, in theory. Now, it is only accounts of what I have seen, doesn't mean it's real or true, but it's true to me, true enough, because it makes sense on a practical level as well as just the nature of it. The Hyperblue, I don't know why it named itself that. It didn't name itself that, but that's what I've named it. So, I'll just tell the story. One night I was watching a film back in, golly, a few years back, at least about 7 years ago, 2014, let's say. I'd finished watching a film, What Dreams May Come, by Robin Williams is the actor in it. It's a pretty cool film, actually. It's very surreal, dark, but beautiful, deep and meaningful. Anyway, I went to sleep that night, and I woke up, and I had one of those, I have to talk about the modes of visions, because there's so many ways that the data can just gush in. This time, it was like a waking up, and so you wake up out of a dream or a sleep, which I was unconscious of, that I wasn't dreaming about this, and then the information just kind of gushes in. It's kind of like watching a film, and you can like, yes, it's like, it feels like it's rolling before your mind. It's like rolling off the top of your mind, and it feels, the emotional data stream connected to it feels foreign, and that's how you can tell it's not coming from you, because it has an emotional, all the data is in the emotions with the big stuff on the surface. Yes. So I locked onto that, and I was like, that is a very interesting feeling. What is it? So what to start with first, though? Okay, I'll just keep telling the story. So I had this feeling, and it was this massive, it was like, in my mind, it was the size of Pluto, like a baby planet, a baby sphere in space. And it was incredibly clear what it was made of. The whole thing was just made of argon. It was an argon sphere, artificially put there in space. It was a sphere that was so big that it was stabilizing itself and kind of just sitting there. It must have had some kind of a hollow core or something to kind of, I don't know, but argon, let's say, mostly argon. Now, it was glowing a certain color, which is the color of the machine that was in question at the time, which I just call the Arcturian Pyramid, but that's just a name. The exact color, and this color has a long history in what I've been doing, so keep it in mind, because it will come up again, and you'll see it in the future when this stuff exists, maybe 200 years from now. But the color is a strong persistent line in argon, which is 480.602 nanometers exactly. And that's the color. It was glowing because it was connected. It is connected. It services the machine in question. So this giant mass of argon, somewhere in space, God knows where, in this dimension, is like a brain more powerful than God itself. Just, you know, as a joke, like stupendous, intimidating, like an ant crushed under the weight of entire universes, or like a galaxy playing with a child. Oh, just like this immense power behind it. And so what it is it's a massive synthetically built brain that operates by taking the form, because I'm not going to assume how I know it works. I know how the machine works, but that's a bit different. And so there's this hyper intelligent thing, and it's taken the form of a planet the size of Pluto, that's just a gas, argon, very pure. That's what it consists of. The whole thing is glowing blue. On the outside was its brain, the allotments, the segments, the grids in which junctions, trillions of junctions that connect to machines all across the universe. At the core was the nodal junction in output to the hyperdimensions. And that's all I knew in regards to its form. That was clear. 2 differentials and the glowing ball of argon. And it kind of came to pay me a visit, apparently, because I was getting closer and closer and closer. And sometimes, if you've got a pronounced thought form which is alien or it's not generally native to humans, stuff out there knows and it pays attention, and if it gives a shit, it will actually ask a question or make an inquiry. It's not that common, but it does happen, and it's kind of cool. Anyway, it kind of... it sounds like garbage, I know, but it's not. It could be garbage, but this is just what I experienced. So I was kind of connected to it just for a moment in time. And there was this silent gap, and I felt like I was connected to what I thought it was, this thing. And it basically, it started first, and in this silence, I was like, I felt like I was in front of like a trillion people watching, and like the microphone was picking up every murmur that it was, and I didn't say anything. And then it's, it said to me that the machine you're trying to build, it said the virtues that you seek through this system will only be granted to you if you can construct this machine and acquire all of the data yourself. No help from anyone out there. All the help needed to come from this closed circuit on Earth. People, the humans, in various ways. And so it was this really direct, kind of cold message. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fair enough. And then it wanted to know if I had any questions. So it basically laid down the law for me to start with. And it said, look, if you're not serious about this, it's not going to happen, and we're not going to help you. But there is a little area for you if you do get this thing working, and we'll repeat the signal and filter it and make it safe so that you don't blow yourself up and it can't be abused, which sounds fair. And so my question was, because I had a suspicion about this for a very, very long time, I said, can the machine that I'm trying to build modify the genome via communicating to latent, essentially tricking the genome, thinking that there's an environmental stressor when there's nothing, because it's running the same coordinates that it's uploaded obviously from that system. And it just said yes, and I was like, what about prolonged life? And it just said granted. That was it. And that was the length of the communication I had with it. I felt the vibe. I asked a few questions, and that was it. It was kind of gone. I felt it. It was gone. It was like, you know, I lost the connection. There seems to be a Goldilocks zone when you wake up from a dream, and you've got this stillness, but then the thoughts kick in, and when they do, they crunch that, and you're lost. The signal's cut, and that's what was happening, and that's all the data I got. So, yeah. The idea is that there may very well be these hyper-intelligent brains out there, synthetically built, like God brains, that make AI look like a child, an infant, a speck, compared to these things. And their function, so it told me that, well, it gave me that data, but their function is to repeat all of the input-outputs of the machines, these telepathic pyramids that I'm trying to construct, which you can look at my other videos and understand a bit about that. The real deal. Like laugh at it. I can only laugh at it because it's actually a very hard, long journey. So it's turned humorous when to try and salvage some of the pain. These machines that I'm trying to create, which have hyperdimensional interfaces, the energy contained in the field that extends from the body. These giant brains out there, these large masses of, well, this one was argon, and there must be many, but this was that with that spectral line of blue. Blue, that's why it's called the hyper blue. They're to amplify, modulate, filter, and modify the signals, data streams coming in and out of them from all of the machines that are running in the galaxy, I presume, in order to access data. But it's like a library that knows everything about the future, the past, the present. It's to access data, but first and foremost, so that people can't abuse or blow themselves up. They can't abuse the system by amplifying thoughts which it deems, based off its architects, whoever made the thing, to be negative to the user or have consequential. It judges everything, essentially. It's like the judge of judges, and it will not give you. It's interesting it said granted, because that's almost like a request, and it accepts that for some reason. That one that I had to trick the genome into prolonged life. Just a little bit. I don't want to live forever, but I want to be healthy. Gosh, if you're enjoying life, why wouldn't you want that? But to however it judges based on the energy signature in theory going into the system, it will not, the machine essentially will run idle if there is an unworthy, or there is a danger or a hazard. However it makes that judgment, it probably just looks into the future. It's so profound. I know it's so insane. Look, I've been messing with this stuff long enough, and there's crazier stuff out there, trust me. Crazy. There's so many films I could make about it. I've spent more time there than in this world. Because I'm there all the time, in part. That's why I'm an alien. In my tower of indecipherable speech. But essentially, yeah, look, quite seriously, I've been trying to build this machine, and it has cost me more than everything, multiple times, and failures multiple times, more than blood, sweat, and tears. It's very hard. I can't walk away from it. I got to see this thing through. The cost is huge. It's not finance. It's financial. Make no mistake about that. That's a real kick in the pants. But it's more. It's many other costs. Precious things, more precious than money. So yes, I struggle with that all the time. It's in slow motion because I can't pull off what I have to build it. It's on a high level of, it's equivalent to making a cathode ray tube from scratch in color, not black and white color. It's very complicated for one little person in their backyard. But I try. So yes, these computers might be our future. Mother, father, judge, jury. Humans are out of control, if you didn't realize, and we might need a helping hand before we blow ourselves up for good. So perhaps some off-world advice is prompt when we can create these interface actualities, which I'm trying to do. It's all I do. It's all I do. And it's hard and lonely, but I do it. But the point of this video is to understand or creatively conceptualize perhaps the potential that these minds exist, and it might be the ultimate way to design them in the future. Not that we could ever do anything like that because it's epically monumental, but that the idea that some spherical bodies out there may actually be computers and not planets at all, artificially, kind of like the Death Star, but like made up artificially, but hollow, a gaseous, and of a pure, just argon, just like pure argon, essentially, with a frame and all that. But yeah, no other pollutants. Glowing that color is the one that I was acquainted with. It makes the mind boggle, but yeah, it's like it's the flip side of the machines. Where do they go to, and how are they safe? And that was the first time that came up. I knew of other repeating stations using beings inside larger pyramids, but not that. That was profound, and it makes a lot of sense if you think about it on the practical design of things. The core of that, when the gravitational field is set up, creates the singularity at the center. And that's why I think it works so well, and I think that's why they've designed it like that. That's the whole to out there, outside of this domain, outside of the simulation where all the laws break down and the Planck units no longer exist. That's what I believe is what's going on. Remember, this dimension is like a blanket. And sometimes it's got holes in it. Sometimes there are holes, and sometimes there are way through. And if you understand the commandments, you can get out. It's designed for that to be allowed. That's what I specialize in, but not yet realized. I feel like I have all the glory of mind when it comes to design. I can say that at least I know how to create one of these things, even if I don't fully understand how it works, but I am weak in the way of being able to physically make it atom by atom into this reality. So that is my greatest wish at this point of time, is to see that through. And it will be good, fun times when I can. So that's just that little ramble. I hope you found some value in it, and until next time, bye.